What's up, everybody? Ben Reza here for Stokastic talking little PGA, not the regular season, not the Olympics, but the playoffs. FedEx Cup is here. It's going to be a sprint to the finish. We've got 70 golfers. We're about to talk about it to take on the St. Jude Championship. I want to welcome you into the channel. All things DFS. Take a look around. If you're new, welcome aboard. Welcome to Stokastic. We have got you covered for all things DFS, from the tools to the picks, the process. I hope you stay here for a long, long time. If you want to, support us, hit the like button, subscribe to this very channel. But let's dive in to what's going to be a very interesting week in Memphis at TPC Southwind, a course that we've seen many a times. It's been the first leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs for a couple of years, but even before that, the WGC was there. There was a lot of stuff. So we're very familiar with big time players taking on this track. Let's talk about that, and then we're going to dive into the board. Now, before we talk that, we'll say Olympic golf was wild, Scheffler, all sorts of stuff. A lot of guys coming back from France. Some of the best players in the world. I'm not overly concerned. I don't know how you quantify that though. And now they get thrown right into, like I said, a 70-man field. It cuts down each week. You got to be inside that top, whatever, depending on what week it is, and you want to make it all the way to East Lake. But you're going to get 4 rounds out of every guy. We're obviously going to have less options to choose from. Let's talk a little about this course. So TPC Southwind, it's not overly long by any stretch. You're talking 7,200 yards, give or take. It's not overly treacherous in terms of obviously distance. What is it though? It's pretty dangerous with the hazards. There's water all over the place, and that can get you. Bermuda greens, no doubt about that. Par 70. It is what it is. I mean, I think right now when you look at this course, we kind of know what you have to do. You got to be able to handle some tricky lies around these greens. They're pretty fast. Keep it out of the drink. That's always step one. Um, Keep it in the fairway. I mean, to me, it's a second shot course more than a driver heavy. What I like about this, I kind of related to PGA National a little bit, even Valspar. You can use off the tee to your advantage. You just don't have to. That is the case. So you can bring in a lot of different skill sets. Certainly, strokes gained approach always kind of reigns supreme. Bermuda splits, guys that can work. You need a full bag to beat these type of fields. There's no doubt about it. Because we've got a star-studded lineup, and with that in mind, let's get to the board. Enough of me talking. Let's bring up the tools. Let's start digging into the info. Again, we only have 70 guys from choose from. So the top tier, we've got Scotty Scheffler. He's still over 12,000. He's got an Olympic medal now on the resume. The guy's just doing everything. Even when he's not in contention, he actually just wins. I was holding a ROM ticket, and I was very worried about Xander, about other guys, not about Scheffler, and there we go. Speaking of Xander, he's next. Rory, Morikawa, and Ludwig to round out the 10K options. So we know a lot of them are going to be relatively popular. We'll see how the ownership progresses throughout the day. I'd say most of them will be flat. I actually agree with what we've got on the screen right now in terms of there's going to be a healthy mix of a lot of these guys pushing 20%, but I don't think anyone's going to get to like 35% or anything like that. I just don't see it because the pricing is pretty efficient. You've got Scheffler 1, Xander 2, Rory 3. I think that's how it should be. I'm going to lean to Rory. He's had, like most of these guys, a lot of experience and some success around this course. He was charging at the Olympics, and then he did what he can't do, which is you went right in the water to end all hope there. But he was third here in 2023, and he gained 4.5 off the tee and 4.5 with the approach. I love that. Not just because, of course, you want your guy tee to green to destroy the course. He's showing that you can really separate yourself still off the tee, even without a crazy bomber heavy course. Last time we saw him, non-Olympics was at the Open, and it was just an absolute mess. But before that, he was good. 4th in Scotland, 2nd in the US Open, where he easily could have won. 15th in Memorial, 4th in Canada. Not enough wins for Rory by his own admission, but he's playing really good golf, no doubt about it. You could go very balanced if you want to start with a guy like Colin Morikawa. Obviously, irons are back. He was just absolutely rolling in the second half of this kind of year since really May. Has gained in 7 straight on the approach, over 2.5 strokes gained on the approach in 6 of those. Those are big time numbers. His putter has come along. Bermuda's not his preferred surface, but still, this guy can get it done anywhere. I obviously like what he's doing. He was 5th in 2022, 13th in 2023, gained strokes in all 4 categories. Not much to hate there. You could pair them up if you want to go very aggressive. Obviously, Scheffler and Xander, or Scheffler and Xander. Right? I mean, if you're playing a bunch of lineups, you're going to want a healthy exposure. When I run, I will be using this thing with our single lineup simulator, by the way, which is so sick. I will see what we get. But to me, Rory won, Morikawa too, and you really can't go wrong here. Balance builds. Patrick Cantlay, Victor Hovland, Corey Connors. Welcome to the nines. Um, let me sort this before I say anything crazy. Tommy Fleetwood. I was going to say, where is he? Hideki, Corey Connors, Russell Henley. So you've got a mixed bag there. Tommy Fleetwood, what did he do? Well, he was right there at the Olympics as usual, playing really good golf, just without the wins. It makes it a more narrow path at times, but I still think you have to look to him because he's playing tremendous, and he's in the hunt. And at 9,800, he can be your second man in. He can be your first man in. You can go balanced. You can go aggressive. It's all there. Uh, all these guys, again, you see there's going to be healthy ownership on all of them. Not a ton of crazy leverage. Hovland does grade out with positive leverage. I think part of that's a product that he will probably be the lowest owned of the bunch. And I think that's pretty reasonable. He's got some real concerns. He missed the cut at the US Open. He missed the cut at the Open. Hasn't been playing great golf. So I have my reservations about going there. I would rather play Fleetwood. I would rather play Decky right below him. Corey Connors and Russell Henley are probably the 2 toughest evaluations for me here. Corey Connors is a damn good player. He's playing really good golf, super consistent. But in a non-cut, you don't get paid for consistency per se. And it's not to say he's just making cuts. He's peppering the top 20 board, but he also is not really compete. You can look, he's got a ton of top 20s. The guy doesn't have a top 5 in, I mean, it's been quite a while. You're scrolling way back. So that kind of just speaks to it. Kind of those 2 diametrically opposed things, consistency versus upside. Right now, Connors has more consistency than upside. Russell Henley, even though he seems like a sticker shock price, at least to me, I think it is justified. He's 5th at the Open, 7th at the US Open. Really good Bermuda splits. This is a good course for him. I like it. I think you can go there. He was 6th in 2023 here. He gained across the board. I like Russell Henley. Again, I don't think I would start there. You're giving up too much, but he's a great second or even third man in if you're going very balanced. Tom Kim, near medal, tough beat there. Tony Finau, Sungjae, Thigala, Billy Ho, Justin Thomas, Sam Burns, Aaron Wright, Cam Young, Shane Lowry. My goodness, there's a lot of firepower in that kind of. I'll call it the 8K mid-range type golfers. Not your starting point, but can easily be kind of the middle solidifying lineups. And let's start talking about some of these guys. So I want to start with Sungjae Im. Bet him at 40-1. Weird year for him. He has not shown up in the biggest tournaments until the Open. He came in 7th. Before that, he had missed the cut at the US Open, missed the cut at the PGA, missed the cut at the Masters. He was 31st at the Players. But lately, he has been on a nice little run. He was 3rd at Travelers. He was 4th in Scotland, 12th at John Deere, 7th at the Open. He wasn't good at Wyndham. He was 41st, but it's one tournament. Just didn't have the irons synced in. He's going to need to do that here. I mentioned PGA National already. Obviously, that's the site of Sungjae's win. He was 12th here in 2022, 6th here in 2023. And that's without really putting much. I like this spot. I think you can bet him. I certainly think you can play him at 8,700. Around him, again, you've got some interesting names. I think Tony Finau will continue to be a buy for me, particularly if he comes in around 10% ownership. I don't love the course per se for him, but I don't hate it either. And his irons have been absolutely electric for basically the entire year. His ball striking numbers are towards the top of all these lists. Gained another 5 at the 3M. It's just been a clinic for him. If he could putt at the right time and he started to find that putting, the results are going to follow. And the results have followed. 8th at Memorial, 3rd at the US Open, 5th at Travelers. He missed the cut at the Open, but that was weather. 12th at the 3M. I like Tony Finau. Again, you can do some weird combos, Finau, Im, stuff like that. I wouldn't start like that, but you can definitely do it. Working down, Thigala, I'm kind of neutral. I probably will short Billy Ho. I know he's gotten some price bumps and he's played really good golf. Just not there. Too many guys, too many opportunity costs. Justin Thomas, always a really tricky evaluation. Probably the guy that I've struggled with the most this entire year. Again, he made the cut at the Open, but it was so much good and so much bad. It's still the putter that more often than not is causing the major issues with him. He was 13th here in 2022, where he didn't putt at all. Certainly has had that experience in the past here in 2020, 2018, winner of this tournament. So he can get it done here, but is he the same player? So JT, he's definitely in the pool for me. Not a primary target. He grades out pretty neutral. You see around 10% ownership, negative leverage, but those things can update as we go, and it's not anything major that I'm too concerned about. I will let the simulations do their work with a guy like that. And speaking of that, before I go any further, I do want to mention everything that we've got going on here at Stokastic to make you a better DFS player. Whether you are looking to get into the sims and run full simulations, contest generators, all that type of stuff, it has made me a better player. There's no doubt about it. It's all available in the links below. We also now have the single lineup generator. It is so absolutely awesome. I cannot stress. It's taking what we've done but breaking it down for people that are saying, you know what, I'm more focused on single entry or three max, stuff like that. And you can click in, you can add players super easily. Obviously, you build out your lineup, you run it, and it will grade out. This is, we have it at a negative ROI, a positive ROI, chance of success, all that stuff. And then you can mix and match. It is such a fun tool. We're going to be using it a ton for NFL, and I've been using it, behind the scenes, testing it out for PGA. Again, just another way to get involved here. If you're interested in those type of things, the links are below. Come check it out and see if it makes you a better player. But I just had to give that a shout out. The devs did an amazing job because not everybody is playing 150, and that doesn't mean there aren't tools to make you a better player. Now, let's keep scrolling down. Burns, Aaron Rye. Congratulations to everyone who had Aaron Rye. I didn't even lead with that. What a Sunday for me. Absolute meltdown. And you know why I started to think of that? Because Cam Young was at the center of it. Absolutely abysmal. Everything that could have went wrong. But we dust it off here. Cam Young has shown the ability at these type of tournaments in the sense that you wouldn't think of him as, Valspar. Came in second in Valspar. I mean, that's the type of tournament. Maybe if you comp it, Heritage, he came in third. He can do it. And off of last week, I have a feeling he might be a little underowned. I'm not in love with the play because he obviously has some issues, but it's mostly closing. It's not playing well overall. So in the bottom of the eights, you've got a pretty desolate range. I actually like the upper sevens a little more, but Cam Young, I did want to mention. You've got Fitzy and Adam Scott not touching Jordan Spieth, not touching Wyndham Clark. Harman, Benny On, who I do like. Jason Day, Max Homa, Seb Straka, Davis Thompson, Bez, who I do like, obviously. Guys that pay grade out with positive leverage right now, Adam Scott, Brian Harman ever so slightly. Max Homa, really nice there. So that's because of that 5.5% ownership. We've got him with some nice projection, basically in line with these guys, but about half the ownership. And that could be a potential way to leverage some of your lineups. When we're only talking about 70 guys, you're going to have to leave some money on the table. You're going to have to be a little different at times. And Max Homa has been playing pretty rough golf. There's no doubt about it. And that's always that diametrically opposed balancing act. Form versus perception, ownership versus results, blah, blah, blah. I think you want to be in a non-cut a little more aggressive with guys like that. But it also has to fit your build. Benny On is a guy that I do want to get to. He is someone that has shown some flashes with the putter, which has always been the killer. He was 13th at the Open. I actually think this is a really nice course for him, just the way he plays. He was 37th here last year, but I can just tell without even knowing. He lost 5 strokes on the approach. That's water-centric. It just has to be. When you're in these type of tournaments, a couple water balls will mask everything, good or bad. 12th in 2020, gained across the board. He can handle Bermuda greens. He's had success at API before, things like that. I like On as a mid-range, maybe one of my favorite plays of the week. If he is at 7%, I will have definitely more than that. Certainly could be into double. I might manually boost him when I run some of the simulations. Bez killed me last week, man. He absolutely killed me. Bet him at 75 to 1, as I do. It was there last week. He just simply could not putt. He gained 5 strokes on the approach at Wyndham, and he gained point 0.1 strokes putting. That's not good enough for a putting specialist. He has to be able to do that because his off the tee game is very weak. Bermuda's the preferred surface. Stay out of the drink, and we're going to be just fine here. That is the case to be made for a guy like Bez. Scrolling down, you've got, Siwoo, Norin, Taylor Pendrith, and Keegan grayed out with positive leverage. You're starting to see a theme there of somewhat of an off the tee skill set stack, just going up, thinking about Max Homa, Pendrith, Keegan. Those are the type of guys. Hovland, all of them off the tee is a pretty strong element. So if you're looking for a skill set stack, maybe you do something like that where you bring them all together in some lineups. It's going to be a really funky build, but I don't think a lot of people are going to do that. And I actually like that build as we kind of dip into the lower range, into the salary savers here for who could round out, the rest of your lineups. You're going to have to get some cheapies in there no matter what type of build you have up top. And we've got names. Listen, it's the top 70. You're not going to find made up players here. These are guys that have proven it on tour. Keegan, Wilsey, Minwoo, Greiserman, who was as close as you could be. Who knows where he's at? I'd rather play Thomas Detry and Maverick. This is a good range, upper sixes. Detry, Maverick, Tom Hoagie. All three of them grayed out with positive leverage. Healthy projection scores on all of them. Not crazy low ownership, but in a 70-man field, this is pretty appealing. I actually like all three of them. I think you could end with 2 in a lineup and really open up some salary for yourself. None of them are crazy off the tee, but they fit what I want. They can dial it in with the irons. They should have some wedges, make your putts. Good range, no doubt about it. Scrolling down, Harris English, Cam Davis, Eric Cole, Nick Dunlap, Mr. Pavone, Justin Rose, JT Poston, Ben Griffin. Killed me last week, even though he actually did fight. Thought he was going to win, though. 6,600. Denny McPutts, Johnny Vegas. Let's talk about some of these guys. Pretty barren range for me. You're not going to see a lot of ownership. Guys that I would go to are right here, Ben Griffin and Denny McCarthy. Ben Griffin had a huge run earlier in the year. Then he regressed. He certainly showed some life last week. That was one of the things that I thought really, really did help me and give me a shot. He gained 8 strokes on the approach. He's been doing that. He synced up the putter a little bit. He's a Bermuda guy. I like the spot for him to keep it rolling. Obviously, it's a big step up in terms of level of competition. Rory and Scheffler and Xander and those types are in this field where they're certainly not at Wyndham. Denny McCarthy, same thing. 33rd at Wyndham. He lost a stroke and a half putting. That's as atypical as it gets. I think you can make an argument he's the best putter in the world. So instant buyback if you're looking for a guy in the mid sixes. Bottom of the barrel, Jaeger, Perez, EVR, Taylor Moore, Eckroat. Some good leverage scores here because we have this range is very flat in terms of the drop off. So you're going to get guys with like half the ownership that we're projecting for only a point or two lower. And that is leading yourself to a little stars and scrubs type builds where you can pepper this range and get 2 to 3 guys in the sixes. Then you can kind of do whatever you want for the rest of your lineup. Obviously, for me, Griot's down here at 62. I think that's a pretty interesting build. Seamus at 61. I think that's a pretty interesting guy if you're really going to the basement. You don't have to go down here, but again, I don't think you should be as fearful as you would be for a normal week. The bottom of a normal week are guys that have never played on tour, who are not making cuts, who are not doing anything. This field doesn't have many of those guys. There might be 1 or 2 guys that got in by something they did in swing season or very early in the year, and they're not in form. But other than that, this field it's what you think it is. It's the FedEx Cup playoffs. All these guys can play. And I think down here, it's more skill set. So if you want around the green specialist, Mackenzie Hughes is here. Brendan Todd, good putter. Seamus can do some of those things. If you want irons, Griot in theory, probably your best bet. Malnati's another great putter. Chris Kirk, good iron player. Off the tee, Patrick Rogers is the guy that jumps out to me. Jake Knapp. Those are the type of players I might pair with that Pendrith Hovland style if you go that route. So to me, it's really all about grouping what you're trying to find. And then, of course, if you're playing around with these tools, see what gives you the best ROI. That's the beauty of it. You can mix and match, and you can kind of test yourself to see, okay, this lineup grades out really nice for this type of tournament and this type of structure. That's what I'll be doing today. And we'll see if we can give ourselves another shot at some big time money. Before I leave you real quick, if you have any questions about anything on this video, Jazz Raz Bets on Twitter. And speaking of betting, before I get out of here, I'd be crazy not to mention what we've got going on at Odd Shopper. If you are looking, get inside the ropes, to have some fun, to do some things, our marketplace has launched. It's right here. You can go to Discover Insiders and see some of our guys. This is going to be changing rapidly. We're going to be adding more and more people. If you want some PGA bets and all sorts of other things, you can come on into my channels. I would love to have you. Sign up for a week. See what you think. Join the Discord as well. We will be talking college football and golf and baseball and soccer and whatever else you guys want to talk about. That is the place to be. The links are below. Put one in the books here. Let's get the playoffs started on the right foot, hopefully with some Stokastic avatars at the top of the leaderboards. Again, thanks everyone for watching. I really do appreciate it. Hit the like button. It helps me out immensely. And let's just keep it going. Keep some momentum to close this season. So for me, for said Jude, for Memphis, for Scotty Scheffler, for all of us, have a great week. Good luck on this tournament. I'll see you next week.